So this comment reminded me of when one of my ex's pastor told him I was a demon and that he should break up with me. This time around, my ex was the one who invited me to his church. And on that day, which was my first day in that church, the pastor called me forward and said God had revealed that I should sow a specific amount of money so that God would open doors for me. Me too, I believed it. Yeah, I believed it, but I didn't have that amount of money on me by then. So I quietly told him I'll speak with him after church. So after the service, I met the pastor and explained that I'll bring it the following week. And I actually went back the following week. And this pastor collected the money privately, not in front of the congregation. And as usual, he prayed for me. So afterwards, he kept encouraging me to attend church regularly. He even suggested that on one of my leave days, I should join him on a trip to Atria Mountains. Then one day, he asked me for money again, this time for church carpets. And that was the last straw for me. Yeah, I simply said, okay. But from then on, I started giving my ex excuses whenever he asked if I'll be coming to church. The pastor too had given me a couple of prophecies before, but honestly, they didn't sound like the same kind of things I've heard many times before. To me, they didn't feel unique. It seemed like a formula all pastors use, so I started questioning things and then became uncomfortable. So as time went on, I stopped attending the church, and I also noticed my ex also started behaving differently. He was constantly receiving calls from the pastor's daughter. Sometimes he would say, oh, let me call you back, and eventually he started spending almost every Sunday evening at the pastor's house. Naturally, I became suspicious. But to be fair, the first time I met the pastor's daughter, she seemed pretty, intelligent, and then confident. She even gave a testimony in church. The only thing is I was a little older than her. Also, my ex started having issues with me because I had stopped coming to church, and I also stopped answering the pastor's calls. So one day, my ex came over to visit me. Around that time, there was another guy I was talking to. Let's just call him the talking stage guy. And this talking stage guy kept calling me, but I didn't answer because my ex was sitting right there. So my ex insisted that I answered, but I refused. So eventually, I tested this talking stage guy and told him I was with someone and would call him back. That was when I saw my ex's true colors. He even became furious. Like, I had never seen him that angry before. And then he grabbed my phone and tried calling the talking stage guy himself. But the talking stage guy didn't answer. So after some few minutes, the talking stage guy called back and I reached for my phone. That was when my ex hit my hand while trying to snatch the phone from me. So the phone fell, and I think one way or the other, the call had already connected. So this talking stage guy heard a commotion in the background. So my ex left, and then I called the talking stage guy afterwards. And that was when he asked if I had something going on with my ex. And I said yes. Then he mentioned hearing threats in the background. Then he was like, if I should marry someone who behaves like that, I'll be miserable, and that a person who truly loves me should not threaten or intimidate me. Then he added that if I ever sort things out and I'm truly free, I can get back to him. See, that conversation made me think deeply. Combined with everything else that had been happening, I decided to end the relationship. So after that incident, my ex didn't call me for about a week. So I ended up calling him instead. That was when I heard a lady's voice in the background, and immediately I suspected it was the pastor's daughter because of the Petri voice, and that girl is also Petri. So after I realized he was with the pastor's daughter, I simply told him I would call back, and then I hung up. But I didn't call back, and he too didn't call me back for another 2 days. So on the third day, he finally called, and coincidentally, I was with the talking stage guy. And because I wanted to get even, I asked the talking stage guy to answer and tell him I was in the washroom. I made the talking stage guy believe it was my boss who was calling me. So later, I checked my phone and saw a message from him. That was after he had spoken with the talking stage guy. And in the message, he said I had just confirmed what his pastor told him when I stopped coming to church. He was like, so I was the demon sitting on his promotion at work all this while, and that his pastor said he knew I would stop coming to the church, and that's the pastor might expose me. That was why I stopped coming to the church. And then he ended the relationship after calling me a demon. Because I was with the talking stage guy, I didn't want the talking stage guy to know I was still talking to Mr. Abusive. That's how he calls him. So I simply replied, okay. And I think my response shocked him because he kept sending more messages about prophecies and other things his pastor told him, especially about me. I don't know if he expected me to beg or feel guilty. So I also insulted him, including that his pastor. And I told him to go and tell him, yes, the pastor, that I said this and that. So eventually, I noticed him posting the pastor's daughter on his status every now and then. As to whether they ended up together, they got married. See, I don't know. I honestly don't know. Because I blocked him and then I moved on. One thing this experience taught me is that not everyone who speaks in God's name speaks for God. And not every accusation deserves your energy. The Bible says we should be wise as serpents and harmless as doves. Faith should never replace wisdom. We should learn to ask questions and observe people's actions. Don't ignore red flags because someone has a title or claims spiritual authority. God gave us discernment for a reason. So let's learn to use it.